What's up, guys? Got a little bit of a tickle in my wickle, if you know what I'm saying. But that ain't gonna stop us. We're talking to a fella that only got one nut in his sack. Oh, half sacker. We got high altitude skeet issues and one of my favorite movies, Family Man. Welcome to This Past Weekend.
This past weekend.
What's up, guys? It's June 26th.
Celebrate living, celebrate misery.
Staying with this song for this week.
You know that soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die.
I kind of wish that lyric was "Let's all have some fun while we're alive." That would really be something ideal to listen to for me. For today, I'm feeling good about being alive. I hope you guys are. Welcome to This Past Weekend. It is Monday, June 26th, as we're getting late into June. And I appreciate you guys being here with me today. This weekend, I spent the past few days in Phoenix. Now, Phoenix is a hot city. And I don't know if you spent time in the heat, but, I remember being there because I attended University of Arizona for a while. And I actually went to high school for a little bit out in Arizona as well for a semester of high school. And they had a lot of Mexican kids that would fist fight each other and beat each other up in an abandoned car wash near the campus of the high school I was attending, Santa Rita High School. And they also had these alarms that would go off when different gangs would threaten each other or fight each other. And everybody was always spray painting everything. It was fun, but it was also just different than what I was used to in Louisiana and in the environment I'd grown up in. But yeah, I spent some time out there. So I was back in Arizona. I was in Phoenix this time. And Phoenix it's nice, man. It's really, and it was hot. I think it was honestly 108 degrees or something. Someone melted, I think. They were looking for somebody and they found him in a puddle. And that was that, that's not candle country. You can't have outdoor candles there because they're gone. They're gone. But after that, I went over to New York City directly there on Friday. And that was a good time, man. Did anything else happen on Thursday? Oh, I was at the Chive, had an event, and we did a comedy show there at the Stand Up Live downtown in Phoenix. And a lot of people came out. This one guy, he was kind of like an alcoholic. And this dude kind of cornered me. I had a couple conversations with some nice people, men and women. But this other fella kind of cornered me. He was all tatted up, and he just kept talking to me about comedy and saying he wanted to do comedy. And at a certain point, sometimes what I don't like is when, I'm trying to be a decent listener, a communicator, and then somebody's just taking advantage of my time, yapping. And this dude he was a little bit liquid around the lips, and so he would, every now and then, something would fly over into my face, and I'm catching bits and pieces of moisture and atmosphere off of his face. And that kind of just got under my skin, because he's so wasted, he doesn't know that we don't really have a conversation. It's just him saying shit over and over again and me having to listen to it. So I don't like it when people, monopolize a conversation to the point where it's not even fun to be a listener, to be an active participant in that conversation. But whatever, that's the worst shit that happened to me. That was it. Otherwise, we had a great comedy show. I met some cool cats out there as well in Phoenix. My voice is going. I don't know what happened to it. I might have left it on the road. I did a lot of traveling here in the past few days. But I'm happy to be with you guys, man. I got to New York City, and I like getting to New York, man. You just feel there's energy everywhere. And there was a transvestite that was kind of dancing and beatboxing and had an umbrella open, and that was kind of cool to see. I saw a man take an awning down that had been up for a long time, and there was a bunch of dead birds and animals and leaves on it. And so that was crazy. It was almost like a little coffin that he'd opened up that he didn't realize, and they all came falling down and, kind of surprised everybody. Sort of the dead kind of striking back, surprising everybody long after they'd been dead, a lot of these birds. And what else? That was it, man. Had some shows at Gotham. I appreciate everybody that came out. We had a good time, man. Met some more alcoholics, but I met some people from England, and they were nice and friendly. And the British, I've never been a huge fan of the British, and I'll tell you straight up. I mean, we beat them a couple times, and I don't understand why a lot of them are still milling around over here. It's and they're good. I mean, one-on-one, it's different. But when it comes to teams, I'm not on the British side. And I think a lot of the world still gets, and a lot of places in the world still get blamed for a lot of things the British started. You look at some of the slave trade, the British really were handily in that. And we're over here still dealing with a lot of the repercussions of slavery and stuff like that, even though the British were running around slanging slaves, okay? So sometimes when I meet someone who's a descendant of a slave, maybe it could be a black person, could even be a Chinese person. Hell, it could be a white person too. There was a few white slaves, And everybody knows, I have dreams a lot where I go back in time and I am like an undercover slave in the American slave times. And I'm on a ranch or a plantation, and I am, sent back in time to help free a lot of slaves and guide a couple of slaves out of the plantation and get up to the north and, kind of just get things on more of a positive track. And a lot of the slaves are on board, but there's always this one slave, and this is just a dream. This isn't real life. There's always this one slave that won't come, This one slave, he does not want to come with me. And so it's a dream I've had a few times. And it's always a battle because he doesn't trust me. And here I am trying to help, and this slave, Lilac, is the slave's name, and he does not trust me. And so that's sometimes hard to deal with even in my dreams, to not be trusted. But anyhow, I don't even know what I was talking about. But yeah, I was in New York, and we had a good time, man. The British came out, and I just felt like sometimes that if I meet a friend in the future who has an issue about, slavery or the mistreatment of black people in America, a lot of times that a British person should be there to handle that conversation with you if you're just a regular white person. Because I didn't do anything, I mean, my mother was from the North, and her family were first generation here, and my father was from Nicaragua, so I was first generation on that side. I was. So anyhow, I just sometimes feel like the British don't take a lot of responsibility for the dismay and some of the rape and everything that they caused around the world. I don't know why I got off on that. Outside of that, had a good time in New York City. Sorry to start off on a low note there, but that's just, I guess some things that were on my head, I don't have any news for you guys this week. As far as news goes, like topical news, because I just can't stand it anymore. Everything in the news is just dismal. It's dismal. It's just attacking anything. I feel like most of the news is just attacking anything that's, American. And I know it's hard to find a sense of what is American these days, but I don't think it helps when the news is just out for money and not out to communicate with people or to bring people reliable information anymore. It's crazy. I mean, it's really crazy that we are in a time where we're almost post-truth, where anything is fair game these days. 20 years ago, you sat at the news, you sat at the television to get the facts. And now people can say that, well, those weren't the facts and that was all bullshit and this and that. And there could be truth to that. But it was most of what was said was universally agreed upon. And now, dude, it's all entertainment television. I mean, I don't think anybody cares about getting us the facts anymore. And in some ways, it's kind of nice. It's like, finally, I'm free from all of this bullshit because none of it is true anymore. None of it, or you don't know what the truth is. So it's kind of nice just to be away from it, you know? The problem is there's so much more access to it now. So in a lot of ways, I don't find myself addicted to the actual information, but I do find myself addicted to my phone, to my computer, and addicted to accessing it. If that makes any sense, man. I hope it does. I'm trying to make sense, guys. It's one of my original goals here. That is one of my original goals here. What else is going on? We got some great calls that came in, man. A lot of people hit the hotline. We got an issue about honesty. We'll have a last minute call about a little bit of a young fellow who's been jerking it a little too much and having some problems with his cock and stuff out there and his activity. We got a man called in about some movies. He wants to know about movies. So we are going to get directly into the hotline. First, I'm going to tell you guys about some dates here. I will be in Stark County, Illinois this Friday night, June 30th. That is a fundraiser for a defunct local theater. It's a theater where I saw my first movie, Pink Cadillac, as a child. And this will be the second time I've ever been in the theater. And now I'm there having the privilege to help perform and raise some funds there to get that theater back on its feet. So everybody's really excited. And that's in rural Illinois. But it could be close to you. If you live in Illinois, look up Stark County and come on out. That's this Friday night, 2 shows, 7 and 9 p.m. We're getting close to sold out. So I feel really fortunate about that. July 7th and 8th, I'll be in Nashville at Zanies. I'll be at the Orlando Improv July 13th through the 16th. I'll be in San Diego July 20th at the House of Blues with Sal Vulcano from Impractical Jokers and Roy Wood Jr. From The Daily Show. As well, I will be in Addison, Texas, August 10th through 13th, and September 6th through 9th in Austin and Cleveland at Hilarities, September 21st through 24th. You can find all of those dates on theovon.com/tour. As well, you can get the album 30 Pound Bag of Hamster Bones and the other album, Musket Fire. Both of those are available on iTunes. Haley Joel Osment is now 29 years old. You remember the young man from The Sixth Sense, from Pay It Forward. Wow, what a movie that was. And he will be on the Allegedly podcast, my other podcast that I have with Matthew Cole Weiss. It's more Hollywood stuff. And you can check that out. It'll come out on Tuesday. And that's our 100th episode of that. Very grateful to Matthew for all of his effort and hard work. All right, let's get into some questions right here. We've had some amazing ones on the hotline, man. I'm so grateful. Again, the hotline number is 985-664-9503. I'll post it on my Instagram this week as well, so you can always reference there to check it out. But let's get into to some calls right here. This is from Santa Ana. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. This is Jeremy in Santa Ana. I love that you just allow and even encourage people to call in and just talk about anything that's on their mind. I have a question.
Thank you, Jeremy. And I appreciate the calls. You know, I want to let you guys know that I appreciate the fact that you guys meet me halfway and share your feelings and thoughts. Let's keep it going, baby boy.
I have to preface it by telling you a quick story.
Okay.
Earlier today, I was chatting with an acquaintance about movies, specifically a movie from the mid-90s called Phenomenon. It's a movie starring John Travolta, where he walks out of a bar one night and he gets struck by lightning.
Oh, interesting, man. I've never been struck, but you know that I was electrocuted recently. And so this kind of hits home, man. You know, makes me, kind of rattles me a little bit and keeps my neck straight. Onward.
And after that, he can speed read. He does telekinesis, and He even finds a lost child in an apple orchard.
Ooh, every pedophile's favorite story, huh? Onward.
So, my 10-year-old brain went nuts when I saw that. And after that, I wanted to have those superpowers. So I wanted to get struck by lightning. So for the next couple of months, every time it would rain, I remember going outside and standing underneath the power lines, hoping to get struck. But luckily, it never happened. And so my question is, I was just wondering if there was ever a movie or movies from your childhood or really any point in your life that changed your paradigm or your mindset or just kind of influenced you in some sort of way.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your call and your question. Yeah, The Family Man. That's one that comes to mind. The scene at the end where he stops the girl at the airport. I mean, it's a Nicolas Cage movie. It's one where he kind of gets to see his life if he had made a different choice. Man, that scene makes me feel, bro. When he stops her at the airport, I mean, he's just being so brave. He's putting it all on the line, He's saying everything he wants to this woman. And I guess that, to care about a woman enough to chase her down, I mean, you can barely do that these days without somebody would, trip you or shoot you, or you would be a creep almost. But to care enough to chase a woman down at the airport, because you want that real love, because you want to go back in time and make the right choice. That resonated with me a ton. Family Man, because sometimes I guess I wonder in my own life, being out here in Hollywood, you sacrifice a lot. And I know it sounds maybe ridiculous to people who don't live here or who aren't in the entertainment industry, but so many of my friends have been married, who have had children, have passed away, and I wasn't able to be there for these important moments in their life or in their, introduction to the afterlife. So that weighs on you after a while, because you just kind of sacrifice a lot of that, and really it's selfish. You're just selfish. So you're out here being selfish. So I guess that's why that movie resonates with me, because it's like, man, maybe if I had made a different choice at a certain time in my life, for love or something, that maybe I'd be in a different place in my heart. I might not be in a different place in my ego and in my art, but I might be in a different place in my heart. So that resonated a lot, that movie. Another one, Curly Sue. I don't know if you remember that movie. It's about where a little girl gets to sleep in a nice house one night. And I remember watching that when I was a kid and just thinking about what that would be like to not be poor just for one night. In this film, they had, they had big bathrobes, and this girl, and obviously, I can't relate to this little girl. She's a dang girl, a young female child, a child with female parts. But I could relate to being a child. And I remember we were kids watching this, and I was like, oh, I just want to be in that. Even just the bathroom where she got to stay with this fancy lawyer that they met. And then she has this first night in this room, and she has her own room, and she's jumping on the beds, and just, it resonated with me. It made me wonder what it felt like to be safe too, because the girl seemed so safe in that moment. The little kid, she seemed so safe in that moment where she's kind of in this home. So that's kind of pretty much a gay story for me to tell, but that's kind of how I felt. And also I remember she got to bathe in like a big tub, and they had fancy soaps and music playing in the background. And I know it's just a movie, but that was a moment that really stuck with me. Let me think about what else. Dream Team. They used to have a movie called Dream Team that my siblings and I watched when we were young. We had one of those video things where you get a subscription. You get 6 movies for $1, and then you have to buy 40 movies over the next 7 years, or they take your mom to jail. And we got into that program. And this movie was about like a group of crazy guys in a mental health institution that get to go to a baseball park. And it just seemed like these guys got to have one day where they weren't in their environment. Because at this point, these men were mental. They were mentals, and, retardos or whatever people call them. I don't call them names like that. I would say, mentally unhealthy. I might say retards if I was around some people that didn't care if I said it. But otherwise, I wouldn't just be yelling retards out of a bus or anything at these type of people. I wouldn't do that. But these men were mentally handicapped. And they get to have a day where they're not in the facility. And the interesting thing is, because one of the problems with a mental health facility is that after a while of being in there, you become acclimated to being in a mental health facility. Like you become more of a mental health patient. What I mean is, like, if you take a wild animal, you put him in a cage. After a while, it will eventually become, a caged animal. It won't trust its wild instincts as much because it's only keen to using caged instincts and being in a caged environment. So it was interesting to see these men who probably weren't as mental patient as they really seemed. But because they'd been in a mental health facility so long, they were more acclimated to that than they were to being out in the regular world. And it's about 4 mental health guys that get tickets to a baseball game and they sneak out of the facility. And they go have one more day in the outside world. And it's pretty magical. Pretty magical, man. Let me think of another one. Oh, Cinderella Man. That one always hit me in the heart. And if you have a film, this will be something we can talk about for next week. Hit the hotline. If there was a moment in a movie that resonated with you so much, just share it, man. Throw it on your, put it on that share skillet and warm it up. I'd love to hear it. But Cinderella Man, when James J. Braddock, dude, the boxer, he's in the final fight, for all the marbles, and he's bruised and he's beaten and he's, bleeding out, and his kidneys are just would suck his own cack to get out of the fight. I mean, his body's just done. And then they cut to his wife, and she's played by, I want to say Sigourney Weaver, but I'm wrong because I don't know a lot of actors. What was her? She dated Kenny Chesney. But they cut to his wife. And here he is getting beaten and just all this. And she's sitting there listening to the fight on a radio. And she's been taking care of the kids and they haven't had any food. They've only been having like broth and like bones and like rat tails and stuff like that for snacks. And then and somehow she is being stronger than he is. I don't know if that makes any sense, but here he is fighting, getting beaten, and he's in the 11th and 12th round or whatever. And they cut to the wife and she's just been having to endure all this and uphold this family at the same time. And somehow you get this feeling that she is being stronger than he is. And that just really resonated with me as much. I guess I want to have a family like that where the father is putting it all on the line and the mother is somehow, doing the same thing, just that, she doesn't, my wife wouldn't have to be in a dirty stairwell and holding on to some starving children, but just, I guess I just wished for that as a kid, to have a father that was out there fighting for us, not even physically, just out there hustling to make some money for us, and a mother that loved him. And to be able to see that, because I didn't see a lot of that growing up. I didn't see any of that love between parents. I mean, I saw my father kiss my mother one time on the forehead, and she didn't seem super pleased about it. That was at my birthday as well. But, the last one, Leap of Faith. That's right, Leap of Faith. That's a great movie. It's about Steve Martin, and they travel around, and they go into these small towns, and he's like a preacher. He's like a tent preacher, like a revival tent preacher. And it's a scam that they're running, but they find one boy in this one town who's crippled. His body isn't doing everything it's supposed to do. His body's taking it easy, or, his body isn't as, it's not really like a party body. It's more of like a, kind of a not even trying to turn up, really. All of his elements aren't trying to turn up together. Some of his body parts are trying to do different stuff and not being part of the program, crippled. and somehow this boy walks, and it like kind of turns everything that Steve Martin knew onto his head. But anyhow, those are some, man. Those are some to me. What else, dude? So I appreciate it. Those are some of mine. If you guys have some, hit the hotline with them, and we'll throw you guys up. Some of you guys is up next week. This call right here, man, interesting. Let's just get into it. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. It's Alan here. I wanted to get you a appendage story.
Now, this is Alan, and he said he wanted to get an appendage story because we talked about appendages a few weeks ago. Onward, Alan?
Had a few weeks ago. I haven't heard one, so it's a little different. I got arms and legs and all that, but
he's fully armed and legged. Alan is. Onward.
Me and my father were born without a testicle.
And I'm going to stop there for just a second so you can hear it. Now, Alan and his father were born without testicles, balls, nuts. And that it is a I can't remember the name of it, but it's a common thing that happens. Cryptorchidism, it's called, and it can be genetic, just so you know. So it's not uncommon for that to happen more than once inside of a familial genetic chain. Let's hear a little bit more about this nut allergy, if you will, in your family. Onward.
It's called an undescended testicle, where it's up inside. So, well,
undescended testicle. That's when you got a ball in the corner pocket, that you can't get out. I don't know if you've ever put money into a pool machine, but sometimes you got to shake a ball out of there. Very similar to what happened here with Alan and his father. You get a nut that doesn't come out of your body, because your body's supposed to spit 2 nuts out into your nut sack after you're born sometime. And Alan only got 1 spit out. Just to clarify for you guys. Sorry to interrupt you, Alan. Onward.
In high school, I got in a skateboard accident, and I got credit carded, where you land terrible with the skateboard between your legs. Well, I went to the doctor, and they said, well, yeah, you need to get that taken out. It's still up there. I said, oh, shit. So we had to get it removed, and got that all taken care of in high school. So
wow. Dude, I can't even, in high school, like I was kind of paranoid if if people knew that I was wearing the same jeans a couple days in a row, and you had to go with a nut, you had to go into a nut thing and get the nut taken out. I can't even imagine how scary that was, because you probably can't tell anybody. Let's find out.
So, it was a little awkward, I didn't tell anybody, because high school is not a good time to tell anybody. But we had
high school's not a good time to tell anybody anything, bro. Like you told, high school is the best place to start a rumor, because it could just be insane. I remember, like freshman year, we all went on some camping trip, and I told everyone that Jay Leno had died, just for fun, to kind of have everybody give people things to talk about and think about over the weekend. And I was hoping that one of the young ladies would be like a big Jay Leno fan, and then I could swoop in and console her, be that consoldier. You feel me? But it just ended up with a lot of people talking about how he died, and then people kind of thought I was weird when they found out he was still alive. Let's keep going.
We had a friend in school. His name was Halfsack. They talked shit to him all the time. I kept my mouth shut. But I have a daughter, so
let's listen to that again. I'm sorry I stepped on his toes. Onward.
Mouth shut. High school is not a good time to tell anybody. But we had a friend in school. His name was Halfsack. They talked shit to him all the time. I kept my mouth shut. But I have a daughter, so everything works downstairs. But I never had a problem with the women. They don't ever really notice that shit, I guess. I've never had no problems, but
well, that's interesting. Because women are usually pretty perceptive, but I guess maybe if you got the cock out, then they're not thinking about the nuts that much. Or maybe if it'd be great to interview 7 or 8 women who have been with men who only have 1 testy or 1 ball, and see if they noticed. Maybe find a girl who is willing to hook up with 8 or 10 or 12 guys you know, make sure two of the guys only have one ball or one testicle, and then see how that works. You know, if she's able to latch onto the fact that she's spending time with with the nutless, or with people with, just one chunk of caviar down there, if you will. Let's hear the end of your call.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that to you. Dig your comedy, and I love you're a wizard with words, brother.
Oh, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Yeah, now that's interesting, man, because you had to deal with that nut, Now, when you show up to a place, I wonder, and I'd love for you to call back and drop a little bit more knowledge on me if you can, if you're hearing me out there. Did you feel like less of a man showing up with one nut? Because I've had two nuts my whole life. And I have often felt like less of a man, even with two nuts, Just felt like, I've shared a lot of that on this podcast, just, feeling less than and feeling like I'm not worthwhile and that I'm worthless. So I wonder if that drops even more when you only, if those levels drop even lower when you only have one nut or one testicle down there in your sack. And also, how does it feel? Is it fun? Are there girls that will put that into their mouth and enjoy that? Is there anything unique or any trickery you can do with just one that's probably tougher to do with two? I bet there's something that us men with two aren't thinking about or recognizing. So if you could drop a call back in and let me know more about that ONL, baby, that one nut life, I would be pleased. I'd be really pleased with that. All right, let's go to this next call right here. This is Mike.
Hey, Theo. My name is Mike. I live in Milwaukee. So I've had this concept for a really great YouTube channel for a while now, but I'm nervous to start it, only because there's a high learning curve on certain video editing skills that I need to make the videos. I've tried different business ideas in the past, but after the exciting idea part, I'm not good at following through on them. My question is this.
Okay, so Mike's had some business ideas. He's had good ideas before. He's not good at following through on them. His question is this. Onward.
In terms of work ethic, how do you, Theo, follow through on the difficult work whenever you have good ideas and the fun part of developing the idea is over? All right, that's my question. Thanks, brother. Bye.
It's a good question. That's a good question. Because, the fun part's over, right? After the creativity, the fun part's over. For you and me, it is, Mike. For you and me, it is. But for other people, it's not. Other people, their fun starts when they're presented with a project where they can delve in and get working on it. It's funny, a friend of mine sent me an email last year about some things I should check out. And one of them was called the Kolb test. And you can check it out online. It's like $50, KOLBE, and then the letter A, Kolb A. And there's a Kolb B test as well. And you have to be really serious if you want to take this test. It's just something you do online. It takes probably about 30, 40 minutes. But it'll help you understand what type of person you are. Like if you're a creative person, or if you're a follow-through type of person, or if you're better at organizing, or you're better at assigning tasks to others, how you receive work from others. There's just a lot of questions that are pieced together to give you scores to help you figure out exactly your answer to this, Mike. So I recommend that you take that. It's worth the investment, and then I recommend that if you find out you're a creative guy, then you have to find someone who is a producer. You got to find somebody who can package and put something together on the other side. You still have to be willing to do a lot of work, but you don't have to do all the work. But you're gonna have to share in some of the reward. But I'll say this: I've never achieved anything in my life alone. Even though my ego wants me to think that I have. My ego wants me to think that I'm a good comedian. My ego wants me to think that, I was a good athlete in high school or in junior high school. But the truth is that I'm only good if I get to watch other people be good and I get to learn from them. I'm only good if I've had experiences to be around other people. I'm only good if I have an agent that can help me get onto certain stages. There always has to be some teamwork. This podcast only comes out because there's a man named Sherb, who takes the audio at midnight on Sunday and soups it all up, and who jumps onto the phone with me, to go over things and to have a little bit of a plan. Because there's a man named Cameron who puts together some art pieces and also, helps go over some words. Because there's my assistant Ken who helps package it up and piece the video together for YouTube. So yeah, you just can't do it alone. But that Kolb A test will help you out. Kolbe. Anybody, you can go find it. But then it's just recognizing, man, this is where I'm good, this is where I'm not. And honorably taking it on and realizing what your skills are. Because otherwise you can spend your whole life fighting against your own abilities. And my ego wants me to do it all. But the reality is that I can't do it all. Man, I can barely do a third of it usually. So that's why I got to incorporate other people. And in the end, man, it ends up really feeling better when you do something with other people. So I'd find somebody that's a good producer that wants to pop off. And I think you'll probably achieve some of these ideas, Mike. Appreciate you calling. Let's hit one more call right here, just because I got a sore throat, guys. So I'm probably going to drop it down a little bit early this evening. But I appreciate you guys hitting the hotline. Let's hit one more call right here.
Hey, it's Brandon from Salt Lake City. Just wanted to ask you something, Theo. You brought up in your last episode about pornography, sexual addiction. I wanted to dive into that. Me as a young man, being in my early 20s, just wanted to, what's the best to do to handle a situation when you're going to pornography and masturbation, not for like the sexual urge, just more because you're getting down on yourself or life's getting tough, and what's the best way to bounce back out of it? I appreciate you.
Man, well, I appreciate this call, and a lot of you guys are like, well, we've talked about this before, and we've answered it before. But I'm going to throw some skin in the game, man. I've been back struggling with it myself, man, and I wish I had a great answer for you. I do know that you just can't get too down on yourself. If you're able to recognize that it is an action that if you spraying out or you spitting life out of your cock or penis with just because you want to find some joy inside of yourself or because you want to feel better, at least you're recognizing that. That's part of it. Part of it is realizing that you're not just doing it for some type of sensual joy anymore. That you're doing it because there's some other gratification that goes on. And it's not even a positive gratification. It's just sometimes to get you out of a depression or to get you through a fit of feeling or of anger or sometimes a feeling you don't even understand. And, all I can tell you is you're not alone, man. I've been having trouble over the past couple weeks, especially. When I start, and we talked about it last week a little bit about commitment. When I start feeling about that commitment, man, I feel this other side of me act up that, goes to pornography and goes to those types of things. It's just something, there's something wrong in me. So what do I need to do? Well, I can tell you what I need to do for me. For me, I probably need to go and talk to a therapist about it. So I need to do that. I was supposed to do that last week and I didn't do it, because that's part of something inside of me that wants to just not take care of me. Sometimes you want to take care of yourself, but there's something inside of you that does not want to, and that's the part that you got to fight. So I just say, man, don't feel that shame. Just because you do that, that's not who you are. Just because you might watch too much pornography or be addicted to masturbating or suffering in that sense, you're not a bad person. That's just some little illness or sickness that you have. The porn they're making out there, this is Vietnam. This is the Vietnam of pornography going on these days because it's heavy. That stuff is thick. This isn't the pornography they found. We found some nudie magazines in the woods when I was a child. You notice a couple jerk stacks. You know, and some of them had already been jerked on or whatever. We got them out. And that was more passive. You know, that was just, and even that was so vivid back then. Think about how vivid the first pornography you ever saw was. Damn, that thing was hot. I remember the magazines even felt hot in my hands because it was so vivid. And now here we are. The stuff that we got now, it's a war out there, man. So I just want you to know you're not alone with it, man. I'm out there fighting it too. You know, I probably got to check in with a couple of friends this week who suffer with it as well, dude. Because, dude, sometimes, you know, I will say this. If you can commit to quitting and you can find a way to commit to quitting, you will start feeling differently about yourself, man. And that's the truth. So good luck out there with that. And I'm not even going to leave you alone on that. I'm going to take some listener advice right here. Some listeners called in with some of their thoughts on the same topic there. So here you go.
Hey, Theo. It's Nathan here from Detroit, Michigan. Just wanted to say.
And this dude, if he's calling in about masturbation from Detroit, that's some serious masturbation. I mean, you ducking slugs out there, you know, and gangbangers and still jerking off. I mean, it's really hard to hide from gunfire and find some decent nut activity at the same time. Onward.
Say thank you for your comedy. You've been bringing a lot of solidarity and joy to me since I found you on the Joe Rogan podcast. Just wanted to say I've been struggling with masturbation for forever, man, and there's a cool subreddit called NoFap that I found encouraging. You might too, but I really felt defeated as of late, and that I can have, you know, a really great day or a really bad day, but if I'm alone at the end of the night, I just don't have the will not to.
Man, you hit it on the head, dude. I know we've talked about it before. We have a lot of new listeners, and I want them to know that this is a safe ground where they can share anything, man. And if I have skin in the game, you know, literally, I'll put my skin in the game, man. Let's listen to a little bit more of this because that's exactly what it is, man. You just don't have that control at a certain point in the evening.
The willpower, you know. I just feel like we're genetically programmed to need to, you know, survive and reproduce. So I don't know if it's worth it to fight, you know, Mother Nature. Thanks again, man.
Well, I say it to that final part of your call there. Just hold the line, my man. You know, don't feel defeated. We stay in this together. And you gave some great advice there, and that's called nofap.com. NOFAP.com. That's a great website to help battle it, man, because you can be out there having fun sometimes, you know, when you're getting perky with yourself, but other times it can be slipping into the dark arts, you know, back into the dirty belly button of the devil. And I'm going to hit you off here with one more caller there that's going to be on the same topic here, kind of the same topic. This guy is offering some ideas of if you just have too much idle time on your hands, because that's some of the things sometimes with me in the evening when I get home and I relax and then my mind starts wanting to be naughty. Because your mind sometimes is just that kid. It's just that wild child. And if you got free time, that wild child will take control of your hands and do whatever he wants. He kind of becomes that Geppetto, you know, when you got those Pinocchio palms. And he starts moving your hands and doing usually wild things with your penis or with other stuff, you know. So this guy had some unique thoughts if you got idle time. Here you go.
Hey, Theo, I was just watching your YouTube video, and you were talking a little bit about getting older and, you know, not partying so much and not drinking. And a lot of older guys, they start to get in more of their hobbies. And the top 3 hobbies right now are like, you know, refurbishing or building old cars, building firearms like the AR-15, and building computers like for games or multitasking.
Dang, dude, I think this guy wants to be a mobster. Doesn't it sound like it? I mean, this is wild to me. I appreciate the call. I appreciate it 100%. Dude, when you said building firearms, I guess that's wild to me, but that could be part of my brain too, just telling me everything's stupid so that it can keep just using my hands to do whatever it wants. So those are 3 things. Let's hear a little bit more about them.
And Terry Crews is famous for getting into the gaming scene, and he built a whole gaming PC. And these are things with a very low barrier to entry. And so anyone could get into them, but they're also kind of difficult, technical, and people like to overcome these, you know, these challenges. And it doesn't focus so much on people, you know, it's a little bit more technical oriented, and this calms a lot of people down and gets you thinking more in the like artsy kind of terms and mathematical terms. And a lot of people like to do this in their old age. And my neighbor was building an AR-15, and he built he's doing target shooting or 3-gun competitions. He's an older guy, you know.
Well, I'm gonna stop it there. Your neighbor could be a straight up killer, dog. I will say that. But you're right. I mean, it's about finding things to do and about finding things to do to keep us busy and also to challenge our mind in a new way. And that would be another answer for the guy that called in saying in Utah that he was, jerking out up there at that high altitude, And I can't even imagine masturbating at high altitude. It's just seemed like it would really just dehydrate you quickly. But that's something, those are some things you could do. Refurbish a car, build a gun, build a computer. Those are intense things, but I think the idea there is just challenge yourself to something new and start to reprogram your brain as to what some of your habits are. Those are just thoughts of mine, man, but I struggle with it too, man. I'm still out here struggling. You guys hit the hotline. Get back to me. I'm shutting it down here a little, getting a little bit sick in the trick. I'll see you guys at some of the upcoming shows, and I'll be back this week. We might do another episode, maybe on Thursday if I'm feeling a little bit better, and I can get into more of the calls. I really appreciate you guys being here this week. I know this wasn't the longest episode, but I'm just happy that we got to do it. I really am. I appreciate you guys staying with me and staying on board. I'll see you guys next time on This Past Weekend.
Celebrate living.
That's it.
Celebrate misery.
Gotta celebrate it all, man. We gotta try.
You know that soon we're gonna
'Cause this is it. This is what we got for now, guys. We got each other. As long as we keep reaching out, we do, man. As long as we keep reaching out. You guys be good to yourselves, man. You probably deserve it. Thank you for your time. I'm Theo Vaughn. This is This Past Weekend.